Welcome to Buckets, coming to you from the Tommy John Holmes Studios. My name's Matt Moore. I'm the senior NBA writer for the Action Network. I'm joined by Brandon Anderson. I'm tired of this cadence. He is the senior NBA futures analyst for the Action Network. Today, we'll give you best bets for Game 4 of the NBA Finals between the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Indiana Pacers. As the Pacers, them sirs, are up 2-1 in this series. We'll break it down. We'll give you our thoughts on the series. We'll give you best bets for game 4. We'll talk through all the angles. We'll talk about some series props. We'll talk about some series bets. We'll talk about all of this and more on today's show. As a reminder, everything that we talk about can be found in the award-winning Action Network app. It's the best way for you to track your picks. With a pro subscription, you get access to our pro models, our pro reports as well that give you information on where the bets and money are coming in on. It will help you track the line. It'll help you see exactly what is moving the number. It'll help you see systems from Bet Labs. There's so much cool stuff in there. Lots of stuff to get into today. Glad that you're with us. If you're watching at youtube.com/the Action Network, please take a second and give us a like and subscribe on this channel, as we did have some tech problems. We do apologize if you missed this show because I did have another show that we had to kind of cancel because our recording software had some problems. So make sure to keep an eye out on that as we are trying to keep this updated as consistently as possible. Brandon Anderson, the Pacers win game 3. The Pacers take game 3 over the Thunder, 116-107. This was the most impressive performance of the series to me. It was more impressive than game 1, particular because of their defense on the Thunder in the second half. We'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. What was your reaction to game 3 and the Pacers murdering my Thunder -2.5 and -1.5 or -2.5 bets?
Indiana Pacers, you have my attention. This is a real, bona fide, genuinely good win in the finals. I did not give credit for that in game one. I've not given credit, I know, for many of these Pacers, as I've called them, these goofy comebacks. This is not that. This is a you outplayed them. You beat them on all the four factors. You dominated in the shot making. I know that everyone's focusing on OKC threes, but the Pacers twos again had a big margin. Things that looked fluky to me in game one, a huge 2 point percentage, Indiana's favor. Indiana forcing turnovers from Oklahoma City, 19 turnovers last night, their highest of the entire playoffs. Things that we saw them do in game one, they repeated. The Thunder repeated the mistakes. The Pacers repeated forcing those mistakes. Both sides get credit, whether they want it or not, I guess, there. The Pacers limited threes from the Thunder. Even though OKC hit them, they didn't get many shots up, only 22 attempts. There are real things happening here that are going the Pacers' way. I I still think zoomed out, this is the game 3 that we expected coming into the series. We thought the
Right?
Thunder would, bring the punch the first two games. We thought the Pacers would respond. The reality is, I know this is way oversimplified. I understand. But outside of like the final 3 minutes of game one, which matters, I get it. But outside of that 3 minutes, this is pretty much the three games that we thought coming into the series. Thunder big at home, which they were for most of the two home games, and they blew one of them. Pacers big game 3, Thunder respond game 4. That's the script we all kind of thought might set up in the series. So I know right now we have to feel good about Indiana. We should feel good about them. Carlisle has pulled the right strings. They made some big adjustments, picking up SGA full court, getting the ball out of his hands. Don't let him beat them. They've done good stuff. Halliburton had a great game. Siakam had a big game. Obviously, Mathurin had a monster game off the bench. I think we should feel good about Indiana. I think this was a big, genuinely, off the top of my head, I think this probably is the best win against the Thunder in the postseason so far. Um, well, no, never mind. The Timberwolves beat them by 10,000. So yeah, that one was a better one. Forgot about that one. The one that they got. It's a very good win. It is a win in the finals. They are up 2-1. They are genuinely live to take this thing at this point. I still favor the Thunder, but Pacers, you have my attention.
Yeah, I think we talked about in the series preview. that we both agree that OKC's defense was the best unit, that the Pacers offense was the second best unit. And the question was Thunder offense, Pacers defense, and what the gap was between them. And what where I am personally at is the margin between Pacers defense and Thunder offense is too close for where we were at pre-series. That doesn't mean that OKC can't win. They can. One of the things I was thinking about this morning is OKC has this incredible margin for error. They beat all these teams, we talk about it, like they beat these teams at home by 20. They've won so many games by double digits, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I was thinking about like, well, why? I was like, why is that? And it's like, okay, their defense is elite and you can't score on them. Yes. And their offense is really good. It's like top five. It's good. Like it's really good for the regular season. But the offense is there's a relationship there. I was reading some stuff that I put together in terms of some deep research that I'll send you later, and we'll talk about in the off season, related to some of the stuff that we've t talked about and disagreed on as far as like four factor stuff. And one of the things that was really interesting and what I kind of found from a big picture research standpoint was turnovers are especially effective because of the influence that it has on your offense by by the assumption of what it creates. And so the question here is, what does OKC's offense look like if they're not forcing turnovers?
Yeah.
If they're not scoring off turnovers? If this turns into your half court defense versus my half court offense and my half court defense versus your half court offense, I think I said that right. What does this look like? The Pacers have managed to do that, where they have mitigated the offensive rebounding advantage that the Knicks, that was their biggest strength, was their ability to create second chance points in that series. The Pacers honestly did a really good job of mitigating that, and it's one of the reasons they won that series. Similarly, with OKC, they've neutralized that aspect, which isn't like a super strength of OKC's, but it's like a conceptual strength. Hartenstein and Chet and all their athletes, they're not getting the second chance points advantage. And then the points off of turnovers, like I've said it, I think this team is the best in the league at being able to force turnovers, except they're not doing it enough. They're just not creating enough of them to build that margin where Indy's able to the advantage that they create off of these things. Like last night, the Pacers had 14 points and the Thunder scored 14 points off of those possessions. 1.0 off of those is not good enough. There were 13 steals. So even if we take the one dead ball and we take that out, or the one team turnover, and we look at this from steals converted to points, 14 on 13 is not good enough off of steals. Like that is not good enough because again, you get into this margin problem where Indiana has shrunk the margin. I don't want to go too far and be like, because I was talking about this with Brian Fonseca last night in the post game show. I was like, we can't overcorrect and be like the Thunder are chokers and not comfortable when it gets tight and all these type of things. They're not bad in the clutch. They're just not good. They haven't been good in this series. Shea and J-Dub in particular in the two games. It's two games. It's a couple minutes, but they have not been like they haven't hit the daggers to put it away. They haven't hit the shots to put them up. Like they've missed those opportunities. And a lot of that is random variance and coin flips and stuff like that. But it's definitely not a situation where you're like, I definitely trust this team down the stretch of a close game. I don't not trust them, but I don't trust them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we didn't all the ways that they earned our respect and reason to trust all the big things about them, we now have like 90, 95 games of data telling us to trust those things. We didn't get data on clutch games in the regular season. Why? Because they were so good that they never had to. That's not a diss that we don't have proof that they're great in the clutch. We just don't really have opportunities for them to have shown it. They did win a clutch game to close out Memphis. They did win a clutch game in Denver. So we do have a couple of examples, but now we have a couple of examples again where it ended up going the other direction. I'm guessing actually by NBA's definition of clutch, I'm guessing that we maybe didn't actually get clutch minutes in the game last night. I think it has to be within five in the final 5 minutes, and I think it actually was not, maybe, unless it was just barely at the beginning. But yeah, it should be a concern for Oklahoma City and for Thunder backers that we saw a repeat of game one where the Thunder offense couldn't find answers in the fourth quarter, whether it's clutch or the whole quarter. I felt like Oklahoma City rushed Shea back into the lineup a little bit early in the fourth quarter, a thing that we often have asked for, but it didn't go well for them. And I just felt like overall, Shea had very clearly his worst game of the series, one of his worst games of the playoffs. He's had other quieter games, often when they just didn't need him to. 24, 8, and 4. It's hard to call that a bad game. 24 points on 9 of 20 is not a great game for Shea. 6 free throw attempts. That's not enough, especially in a game that was very physical. J-Dub got 11 free throw attempts. Chet had 9 free throw attempts. Shea didn't get enough the way that the game was being called. And more importantly, 6 turnovers for Shea. That is a really bad number, especially because Indiana did an awesome job denying Shea, even off of 94 feet away. Nembhard, TJ, McConnell had like 3 of those steals in the backcourt in this game that are just kind of brain fart steals, the sort of things that the Thunder never ever do, and gave him in that game. Pivotally, in the fourth quarter, there was a spot where I forget who for Indiana. Somebody kind of missed a shot at the rim, and like 3, 4 guys tried to get the rebound. Nobody got it. It bounces right into Nembhard's hands, just on the edge of the paint, and he pulls up for a jumper, makes it. And OKC, frustrated, just tries to inbound and get it going. And TJ McConnell literally catches the inbound and lays it in. That's 4 points right there in the fourth quarter. That is a 4 point swing. I know it ended as a 9 point game, but those four, like, it got away in the last few seconds. Those 4 points swing the game. That wins the game for you in 10 bad seconds. And that's the thing you're saying, Matt, is the Thunder, for much of the season and much of the playoffs, have had such a wide margin from all the things they do so well that a brain fart 10-second 4 point giveaway doesn't really matter. It's fine. We'll just get it back anyway. In this series, the Pacers have done excellently to remove those extra advantages and say, okay, you can still be a little bit better than us, but we can beat you if you're a little bit better than us. We can hang in that margin. We can steal 4 points in 10 seconds. We can, find ways to hit the big shot at the end of the game, like in game one. And that's where the margin shrinking mattered. It's not that the Thunder aren't better or can't still be better. It's that, to put it in betting terms, if the Thunder drop from 75% likely to win a game to 60% likely to win a game because those margins are shrinking, okay, we all understand what that means as bettors. Like the chance of you being able to win 4 games out of 7 goes significantly up if you are only having to win 40% outcomes sometimes rather than 25% outcomes, especially when you stole one much lower than that from game one. So I think Shea has to play much better. I think they need to be much more intentional about getting Shea the ball earlier and often and not having 6 turnovers, even when he didn't have the ball that much. But again, zoomed out, so Oklahoma City doesn't panic. Shea has what will probably be his worst game of the series. Halliburton had what I thought might end up being his best game of the series. 4 threes, 11 assists, really got going. So your 2 stars have their best and worst game, and Indiana's bench goes crazy with the Mathurin game, and you still just get over the line at the end at home in the game that everybody knew was the game you had to have. Again, that's not making excuses. You got there, you get the win, that's all that matters. But I think Oklahoma City and Thunder backers shouldn't be like, the sky is falling, this team can't win, they stink in the clutch. No, a lot of things had to go that direction for that win to happen, and a lot of things happen in every finals game. But I don't think that Thunder backers and Thunder fans should not be panic mode right now. They should be concerned mode. They're down 2-1. You don't want to be down 2-1 because that's real close to being down 3-1, and then you're one away from just being out. But I think similar. That's why I kind of led with. In the end, you have my attention. You have my concern. They're in this, but I still think the Thunder should be able to find some answers.
Yeah, and that's like really the thing here is You're right, the Thunder backers shouldn't panic. The problem is that I do think the script for this series is making it, and honestly for the playoffs, is making it very hard to predict accurately. Where I don't, it's like the comments very right. I don't mind the comments going off and being like everyone never gave Indiana a chance, and I'm like yeah because like I had to look at it logically, and that's what makes what Indiana has done in these playoffs amazing. Like somebody on the I did Locked On NBA this morning and we were talking about it and they're like this is what you live for, man. The uncertainty. Like these moments in sports that are absolutely incredible. I was like, yeah, unless you do a daily NBA betting show where you're supposed to try and predict the most likely outcome and bet it based off of the value in the market, in which point it's pretty difficult. Now, I do think because I was a little bit again where it's like if my numbers are behind the market the trap I get into is I if I didn't do this show, I'd be like, I'm sitting this one out. I like OKC, but this number is way too ahead of the market, right? I do a daily NBA betting. I'm gonna bet the finals. Like that's gonna be a thing I'm gonna do. And like that's where I think where Fiddle's at with a lot of this is like there's no value here. Like it's like these lines are very, very sharp. We talked about it last night. Everything in this market is sharp. As an example, so like I was thinking last night about how I wanted to bet this because I do show a little bit of value on the Pacers. The market's still ahead on the Thunder, and with where we're at in the series, I'm like, okay, there's a little bit of value here. So I was like, I started looking for, okay, what if we do OKC to win game four, but the Pacers to win the series, right? And so I ran numbers on what my expected outcome for them to win game four, for the Thunder to win game four, and then the Pacers to win the series if that were to happen. And like right now, Pacers to win game four or Thunder to win game four and the Pacers to win the series is only plus 650. If the Pacers win or if the Thunder win game four, I make that number 1100. So like I just need to wait and bet Pacers to win, right? So it's I have a hard time finding the value on how to bet this. I did find one that I like, which we'll talk about a little bit later in best bets, which is a pretty pretty bold one. I will say I'm looking for Pacers angles right now. And much of that's because like look, I bet Thunder over Pacers so much when we were getting those really good numbers in the conference finals. And now Pacers have really, kind of flipped that on its head. Um, is it safe to say that this series is making you said concerned? Because you're somebody that in these type of situations, I always talk about, like Sean mentions it, that I say this a lot. You're never going to be comfortable buying low. You are maybe the person I know who is most comfortable buying low. Like your ability to be like, I am not shaken. I am not moved. I am not driven by this. I am not going to overreact to this game. I'm not going to overreact to the sample. Like the analysis is the analysis. And if there's an interval that changes that, sure, I'll adapt, but I'm not going to get shaken by this particular moment in time. I do want to ask you, are the circumstances of the series enough to be like, yeah, no, I'm not like looking for ways to bet OKC again. I'm not looking for the triple down spot here. Is that accurate?
Yes and no. I think it's a very good question for me in particular. I would say, like you said, I'm looking for ways to invest in Pacers. And part of that is because of the position you have too. But it sounds like you'd be looking for ways to invest in Pacers even without that position, just directionally. If you had to, we're a betting show. We need to be looking for ways to invest somewhere. I would still, right now, regardless of position going in, I would still be looking for ways to bet the Thunder. And by that, I mean, I spent 2, 3 hours since last night poring over all the outcomes and all the data and all the in six or exact outcomes or Thunder in seven or Thunder to lose game four. But then I looked at all the ways, that tells me, Brandon, you're looking for ways to invest in the Thunder. Here's the problem. I have made the series and games a little bit closer going forward, as I think we all should. We've all seen the results from 3 games. I still have the Thunder favored in games going forward, all 4 of them, including both road games, but I have them favored by less than I would have before this series. responsible. We watched 3 games that told us that that is the thing we should be doing. We should be adjusting our priors. We shouldn't be throwing them out. We can go somewhere in the middle. The problem to me is that I still think instinctively there should be some value in the Thunder. Where can I find value in the Thunder? Books aren't giving us any value on the Thunder.
Nope.
Books have not downgraded the Thunder, and I don't know if it's because I've downgraded them perhaps slightly too far. I don't think it's that because I would still guess on my numbers, I would still guess I'm in like the top at least 10 to 20 percentile on Thunder winning the series, and that probably is low to be honest. But the numbers just, I can't find areas, even the way I do it, Matt, when I'm like, throw this outcome out and throw this one out and get rid of this way. Well, that's not going to happen. Let's only bet it this way. I still like the absolute best thing I can find is a Thunder exact outcome to go win game 4, win game 5, lose 6 in Indy, win game 7. I have that one just under 20%. The best price I can find is a plus 500, which is implied 17%. That's a slight margin, and for me, it's not enough to trigger a bet usually. And it's the only spot anywhere on any Thunder side that I can find any actual value where the number comes out ahead. I don't want to invest in Indy the way that you said it, but if I was going to invest in the series where the value is, even though I still think the Thunder are in good shape here, there are a few spots where my numbers would tell me, hey, maybe you should think about investing in Indy in 6, maybe a little bit. How about Indy to win game 4 and game 6 at home to close out? How about that exact scenario? Maybe a little bit there. How about Siakam for finals MVP at 11 to 1? He only has to win finals MVP about 22% of my Pacers series wins for that to be good value. He's leading points and rebounds right now. And we give MVP awards to stats. We just saw it happen last round with Siakam. I know how he hit the game 1 winner, but you still got to win 2 more games. Siakam's going to be a part of that if they got there. If you're listening and you're like, enough with you losers telling me that the Thunder are just going to win anyways, I want to bet the Pacers. Tell me how to bet the Pacers. Where's Jim Turvey? Bet the Pacers. I just told you how I would bet the Pacers. I don't want to because I still want to invest in Thunder. Pacers in 6, Siakam MVP. To me, if you want to invest in the Pacers, I think those are smart, responsible ways to invest in them. I don't have enough edge in either direction to trigger a bet. I want to. I want to come on the show and tell you what to bet. It's a betting show. I don't find any value in the series because I want a little bit of Thunder taste and I want to be the hero and triple down and do the Brandon. We're down 2-1. We're not going down this easy. I want to do that. There's just not value because the numbers in the market are just right at my numbers as well.
Yeah, so like a good example of where the market is at on this, and I think most of it, I suspect it's handle. That's like what I suspect it to be, is its handle. Um, if the Thunder win game 4, okay, they win game 4, and we take what my expected price is after that for them to win the series. You take both of those outcomes. Um, I still wind up with a number that isn't commensurate with OKC in the OKC to win game 4 and the series. It's minus 135. Like it is it's ridiculous. Like
I
it's
know.
minus 130. You're having to lay money on a team down 2-1 to win game 4 on the road and then win the series in
Yeah.
a 2-2
I,
series. Like it's
I wanted that one. Like we you
yeah.
can clearly tell that I will feel good. I expect the Thunder to win game 4. You can clearly tell I expect them to win the series. That's the obvious bet. It's the exact bet I made game 2 when they were down, minus 135. I have that outcome at 52.5%. That's basically like your standard minus 110. That's a quarter of value lost. It's not the right bet to make, even though it's the thing I think is going to happen. And I think to me, this is a lesson in betting that, again, you don't have to bet every time on everything. You don't need to have a ticket from this event right now. Even if the thing you think is going to happen happens, doesn't mean that that was the right bet to make if it wasn't value when you placed it. And I don't see series value. So when we get to best bets today, even within the game, I got real creative with some of my angles today, as you saw. So sometimes you got to get creative, or sometimes be willing to sit it out and wait for the next spot, or wait for a live spot.
Yeah, Mock River says in the comments, Game 4 almost feels like a must-win for both teams. Indy wins, 3-1's an incredibly tough place to come back from. OKC wins, and they're right back in the driver's seat with 2 of 3 at home. That's what I kept thinking is, who do you expect to win game 4? And I think that I expect the Thunder to win. I expect the Indy to win Game 3 and the Thunder to win Game 4. My mistake at the beginning of the series was trusting OKC to go 2-0 at home
Yeah.
versus this Indy team that is like that was where I underestimated Indy from a spot perspective. I don't think I underestimated them on power rating because I had them under the number. I just didn't think they would win it outright because I just didn't give them enough credit for that. Even though I have made a lot of arguments in their favor, like Jim Turvey, if you're wondering, Jim is like constantly in my DMs being like, "I know you want to bet them," and I'm like, "Don't worry, Jim, it's coming." Um, is it is incredibly difficult, I think, to try and find value in the market because of how this like what because a lot of this, Brandon's right that game one, the two Pacers wins are narrow, but they were. It's also like, yeah, but if this is going to be the outcome, whatever percentage you gave each team at the beginning of the series, whatever your series price was, converted to an implied probability. Whatever that Pacers one was, it should have been built on this. These are the odds of them winning multiple close games versus OKC. Like
Yeah.
they may blow out OKC once over these last couple of games. I don't expect any more than that. I don't expect a double digit win from them for more than once the rest of the way. I think that's unrealistic to expect. The real question is going to be about game script, series script, and we'll get to that when we talk about best bets. Okay, I want to tell you about Underdog. Go yard all baseball season long with Underdog's Pick'em game. Underdog is one of the leading sports apps, and you can play now in your state. Millions of fans have already won billions making picks on Underdog. Will you be next? To play, all you have to do is download the app and choose whether a player will go higher or lower on one of their stats. You can choose from things like home runs, strikeouts, total bases, and so much more. Once your picks feel good, you can play with as little as $1. If you get everything right, you can win up to 1,000 times your money. Underdog lets you mix and match all you want across sports as well. Download the Underdog app and sign up with promo code Buckets100 to unlock a special offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you make your first deposit. That's promo code Buckets100. Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in the state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply, void in Colorado. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. In Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT STEP to 53342. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE NY. All right. We're going to do best bets for game 4. We'll have more game 4 best bets. We got like a quick turnaround here. Game 4 uh, pre-game best bets episode 6:30 Eastern. Chris Raybon, Jill Gallant, Kyle Murray. Great show yesterday. Come check it out again. Brandon, what are your bets that you want for game 4 between the Thunder and the Pacers?
All right. Welcome to the Shea Gilgeous-Alexander show. You ready for some Shea bets? Because I am betting on the MVP bouncing back from a bad spot. Here are the four ways. Four ways I'm betting on Shea. Head to head, series rebounds versus Miles Turner. Shea, plus 280. Multi-unit bet, my favorite of this show. One of my favorites of the finals. Shea, head to head against Nemhard. Minus 1.5 assists for Gilgeous-Alexander. Shea, first half points leader. Minus 125. And Shea, game 4 assists leader. Plus 280. All as ways to invest in Shea and in the Thunder a bit creatively here. And if you're looking for a little bit more standard, Pacers team total under 109.5. And just Halliburton, give me some turnovers. Halliburton over 2.5 turnovers, normal pricing.
Okay. I want no props for me today. I will do those on best bets on Friday. I have to like sort through a bunch of tape. I will take Thunder on the spread. I have bet it. I'm going to ask you about it because I am considering a buyout. That's how confident I am, is that I'm already a day later, 12 hours later, already like, should I just buy out of this? Um, and my other one is a series price. Pacers to win from behind. They trail at some point in this series plus 2,000. That is a bet I have made. It is in the app. Um,
Okay, let's start. I know you're the host, but I want to start with your Thunder team bet, and we'll tie in my Pacers team total bet that we talked about because that kind of ties to just the big picture that we've been doing. And you wanted to talk through your Thunder bet anyways. And I think if I am a listener to what I've said so far, I want to know, Brandon, why aren't you a Thunder bet? You like the Thunder in the series and in the game. Why aren't you betting the Thunder? So you tell me why you did bet it, and we'll talk about it.
because laying 218 best price in the market makes me nauseous. That's probably what I should just do is I should buy out of the spread
On the
and
money
just
line, you're saying?
yeah, and just pay the 218. I feel like OKC wins this. Them being 0-8 against the spread on the road in the playoffs genuinely terrifies me because as in the comments Larry Mavid says, you guys are definitely on point about OKC being overvalued and the market not adjusting. That's precisely what them not covering a single game on the road all postseason means. We've talked about this from the home court standpoint too, that there's probably home court being. What I think was interesting is I made an adjustment pre-series to OKC's home court and not to Indy's. And instead, maybe I should have upgraded Indy's home court or done both. Um, that number is concerning. I understand it's 8 games. I get it, but like not once they've covered the number. They haven't covered the number one time on the road. All these games, Memphis, the Wolves, Denver, all these spots. Denver with Michael Porter Jr. with one arm.
Matt,
Like
not
all
not not one, not two, not three, not five, not six, not seven, all eight, Matt, all eight.
like that makes me that makes me really nervous. It just how do I not get to a place where I'm like, no, the Thunder and they do look different. They do not look like that. Like they look when they like that game, right? Like that's Thunder basketball, and they're so dominant when they do that. There's been a lot of discussion of are the Thunder net rating merchants, right? Like that's been a thing that's been going around. Jim Turvey's coined
Trademark
that
Jim Turvey,
phrase.
yeah.
But like other people have been talking about is and like I do not buy and you talked about this on when we did a show on my YouTube channel just talking about like we've seen these point differentials in recent history like seems as good as their power rating to me. I don't look at my power rating for them and go like, yeah, that's too high. I'm gonna dock them. You know, I'm like, nah, that seems right. Like they're dominant. They're great. But on the road, their inability to get one like this to me, the reason I bet this was Matt Mitchell rule. Is I got a 5.5 early. By the time I got in the app, it had moved, so I logged it at 6. That's my full admission. Is I got it 5.5 right before it moved. But like by the time that I put the bet in and then refreshed the page, it was 6. So I logged it at 6. It's Matt Mitchell rule. You win, you cover. But that has not been the case for OKC in these playoffs. That has not been the standard there. Should I buy out of this and just go? I think they're going to win this game. I whether it's just arrogance or sticking to my priors, I'm like, OKC's going down 3-1 to Indiana. 3-1. No, they're split. They're splitting these two. We thought they were splitting these two after Indy got game one. I would have always, I go back to this and think about game one. If the Thunder had dominated game one, we would have been like, see how smart we are. But I would have been like, now if Indy gets game two, we're probably split 2-2 coming back. The minute Indy got game one, I think it was always going to be 2-2. I think it was always going to be 2-2 the minute Indy got game one. I just can't see them losing this game. Should I just play the money line here and buy out of this spread ticket? Because that's what's concerning me.
So I'm never gonna love a buyout spot just because you're giving away value unless you really, really feel strongly the other way. I'm rarely going to suggest a buyout. I think you made a bet. I think you feel your conviction. You got the best of the number, Matt. You have a better ticket than is available on the market. So especially you with your ticket beating the market should not buy out of that ticket. The reason that I'm not buying that ticket is again a thing I've said on this show already and other shows. I don't feel like I need it. I I've caught myself thinking, you know what I could do? Thunder to win on the money line, Pacers to cover. The old NFL bet that I love to make. But guess what? If I find myself thinking that the Thunder will win, but maybe not cover, win by 5 or less, that's probably a good sign that maybe I shouldn't be betting Thunder to cover the number. Maybe I can just skip that side. Or to me, I've explained this otherwise. I'm not a live better. I rarely live bet. I'm too emotional live in game. This to me looks like a good live OKC bet spot to me because I think part of your concern, Matt, is something I share, which is there's always a chance the Thunder can just blow the doors off of you. I don't think we expect that to. I don't think you expect that to happen. You just said they're not going down 3-1 to the Pacers in the finals. I have that same sort of gut feeling, but I don't have a gut feeling that they're just going to roll the Pacers in this game. I'm not even sure we're going to get that at any point in the series. If we do, it's going to be in OKC, I think, not in Indiana, because we know Indiana's going to keep punching back. We know they're not going anywhere. They've proven that to us, even if they fall behind. So I just think if you like the Thunder here, there's a very good chance that you can wait around and get better than a 6.5 ticket. That you can wait around and play the money line, Matt, the minus 208 or whatever it is, and maybe minus 150 or something closer to even. Probably still not there because we know the books don't move very quickly on Oklahoma City as they shouldn't. There's a reason we want to keep investing in them. But I I don't know that it's like I hear your hesitation on investing now. That's my hesitation also in why I prefer to sit it out and wait or just kind of to sit on Thunder futures. If the Thunder win, then how do I bet Thunder futures? I've already got some. I don't necessarily need more at the price. We talked about this just before coming on the show. Pacers team total under maybe is a different way to play for a Thunder win. I'm sure many of you have seen the stat floating around the interwebs. So far in the entire playoffs, the Pacers, when they score 111 or more, actually, when they score 108 or more, they just haven't scored 108, 9, or 10. But when they're that range or higher, they are perfect. 14 and 0 so far in the playoffs. When they don't, they're 0 and 5. It is just that stark with them. And we know that the Thunder defense, I thought the Thunder defense failed them in game three. That was my biggest edge going into the game. I thought the Thunder defense was not good enough. They didn't force the turnovers they do. They were not good enough protecting the paint and on twos. I think they just didn't play with enough edge and didn't have the right intensity they needed to. And that is a thing I expect to happen more of in game four in a must win spot is a defensive focus and intensity to be ramped up. That is a standard thing to expect. So just betting a Pacers team total under, where they were 107 in the loss so far. They were 111 in game one. They were 109, Matt, with like a second left until Halliburton made a shot. They would have gone under in a loss. They went over in a win since the number's at 109.5. I think we want to invest in the Thunder to win the game, but I don't think it's worth investing the money line price right now. I don't think you need to add the -6. I don't think you need to buy out. I don't know. It's similar to where we ended up on the series, I think.
Yeah, I put those bets in based off of like standard logic, and then immediately there was this part of my brain that went like, "Why aren't you using Pacers logic?" Like that, there was a little voice in my head being like, "The Pacers don't give a fuck about your logic. They have not cared about trends. They have not cared about activities. What was it? Like Brian Fonseca made the reference last night. Not since 1200 BC has an NBA team. Blah 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 blah. Like, and he's right. He's just right there." Um, Man, I hate limiting the options because my initial thought was like, hey, what if I do team total under and Thunder money line, and that gets my price down just like a little bit. I
Yeah,
wonder if that script is like a little bit better. But God, it is. I mean, look, it's tough. I think
yeah.
like so. Here is the thing. Um, in order for Indiana to win in less than 7 games, they will have to beat OKC in back-to-back games, which has only happened twice this season and not since the regular season. Nobody in the
Yeah,
playoffs
and,
has
and
beaten them
one of
twice.
those two times was in like the last week or two that didn't even matter. So
Yes,
really
right.
once all season.
Really once all season, right?
That's why it mattered so much that they got game one. Because if you don't get game
Yes,
one, you got to beat them two in a row. So why it
yes.
mattered that they got game three. Because if you don't get game three, you got to beat them two in a row. We said this exact thing in the Denver series. This is why the Pacers have absolutely given themselves a real shot to be NBA champions as soon as 2 games from now. But they still have to win two in a row at some point. This is their shot to do it.
I'm just killing myself over if I get this the fiddle situation again where OKC wins this game but doesn't cover. And my assumption is they win this game and they cover. And there's a lot of good reasons for that. Like, there's a lot of good reasons for that. If you're like, well, what does your model make it? Not that, not 6.5, right?
But
God, that was
the
so much
thing is
more.
too, Matt, Oklahoma City winning but not covering loses this one specific bet, but it's still a very positive outcome for
So
your portfolio.
that's
You
true.
want the Thunder to win. You are set up for Thunder to win. So like I think that's helpful too, is to zoom out onto the whole portfolio. If you're just if coming in hot and you've been missing the last 6 months and you're betting, maybe don't bet that one bet here. But I think you
Yeah.
can have like it's a it's something of like an escalator in some ways of like okay they're gonna win but they're gonna win minus 208 versus I can cover the spread. Most of the time you cover a 6 point spread in an NBA playoff game because most of the time you're gonna foul down the stretch and try to do your thing. I think I wanted to say a thing. This kind of ties in just with the game choice here. I think the thing that's complicated, and you and I have been both on Oklahoma City in the series, and we've been both on them so far in this podcast. That does not mean that we're not giving credit to Indiana. I think two things can be true at once. Indiana clearly has the Thunder uncomfortable and clearly has made this closer than it was expected coming in to the series. From Zach Lowe, Thunder have their lowest passes in a game, three of their 15 lowest on the season so far in these finals. That's all 3 games. They're limiting their passes. They've had two of their four lowest 3 point attempt rate in the finals, both losses. From their finals, their 3 point attempt rate would rank dead last over a regular season in the NBA. That's a Pacers success. Owen Phillips talked about Shea bringing the ball up 41 times a game the first 2 games, only 23 times in game three. The Thunder average under a point per possession when he does not bring the ball up. They're at 1.26 when he does in the series. That's a win for the Pacers. The Pacers clearly have the Thunder uncomfortable and are closer than expected. That's one thing that's true. But the Thunder are still the better team and should still win the title. That also is true. And it's why we are stuck in the middle on betting and don't have a lot of options. So I don't mind the cover. I would rather wait it and bet it in game. My angle for it is the team total under, but it's not a super aggressive or large bet from me. I just don't see a lot of value in betting the game as where the line and number is at right now.
My other bet is Pacers to win from behind 20-1. If you listen to the favorites, you'll know why I like this, and Brandon will probably disagree, and I think it's completely okay to reasonably disagree here. Game sevens are not a good spot for road teams. I get that. So I think the Thunder win game four, and I think the Thunder win game five. I think we're looking at the exact same script as the Nuggets series. They win game four, they win game five, they win game five by margin. It is desperation time. Pacers game six, and OKC will throw the absolute kitchen sink at them in that game because they saw what happened the last time that they went into a building and was like, oh, okay, we'll just get him back in seven. They won that game by 40. They'll have confidence there, but I think that'll be a great game. But I'll like Indy in game six. Okay. If I like if my model shows value on Pacers, which it does, but I like Thunder game four, game five, then those two outcomes together get me to this bet. I think, and I said this on the favorites, I like OKC in game six more than I do at home in game seven, and I like Indy in game seven a lot. Like if it gets to game seven, I'm gonna like Indianapolis, Indiana, because It's not even Brandon so much about it's not about the tropes of like young team, the pressure, blah blah blah. I don't really care about that. What I genuinely care about is how free the Pacers always play. They walked into that building last year as a team that had never made the playoffs in Madison Square Garden, and everyone will talk about the injuries, and they were significant. But that team usually gets blown out to the point where those guys aren't even playing at the end to get hurt. And they walked in there and they won that game outright, start to finish. They are made of different stuff. Their ability to go into these environments and not be phased is incredible. And Indiana, if we admit that game sevens are the real secret is that game sevens are usually weird, and home teams usually weird games because it comes down to a little bit of shot variance. But I like Indy in that kind of environment more than I like OKC. So if I like OKC game four and I like OKC game five, then I like 20 to 1 for them to be able to pull this off. Jim Trevor was like, why don't you just, mechanical parlay each money line? And I was like, because that's not good content, Jim. That's why. So
Correct.
that's my best bet. Your thoughts on that one?
I strongly disagree with your read on the who wins game seven situation. We've talked about that with other game sevens, but I think it's a fine bet to make here, given your read on the series. To be clear, the only out for you to win this bet is the exact one you described. The only way Indiana can win from behind is to lose the next two games, then win the final two games. So that has to be that way. I make the Thunder pretty strong favorites in game seven. I'm sure you are not surprised by that. Nonetheless, I would have the exact scenario you're betting here at 5.5% to happen, which is low, but is still value at 20 to 1. That's basically the number is giving you there. So, and that's my numbers where I have Indy Indy game six is my next most likely Pacers game to win now at this point. Much higher to win that one than Indy game four because of the revenge spot for Oklahoma City. So yeah, I agree with you that I see the setup of Thunder win the revenge spot here. Thunder win game five. I will likely be, assuming they win here, I'd probably be on Thunder alts in game five for a possible big blowout win there to take the 3-2 lead. I will favor Oklahoma City slightly in game six, but I don't mind Indiana getting the game there. And now you're in game seven and you have a 20 to 1 ticket on game seven. And Matt, you specifically have a 20 to 1 ticket as a hedge on a lot of Oklahoma City portfolio for you. So for you specifically, I think the bet makes sense.
I also may have grabbed a 12 to 1 on Indiana back in the conference semifinals. So always be betting both sides and losing just a little the Matt Moore way. All right, let's talk SGA here. I appreciate you helping me with talk through that stuff, Brandon. Okay, so somebody in the comments early in the show, and I honestly we have so many, it's going to be hard for me to find it. Oh no, Ryan Smith, who's been absolutely tremendous by the way in our comments. Brandon, do you think Shea is still viable for series rebounding leader? Let's talk your series head-to-head rebound bet on SGA and the other 700 bets that you have on SGA.
Matt, it's a content job. I bring the people content
You
and
do,
bets.
you do. Brandon was like, this one's hard for I think everybody in our company right now. We're all like, man, I don't know. Like we all want to be like, man, I don't know. Like Indy could win. I don't know. And Brandon's like, yeah, I don't really know. Like whatever, it's fine, I guess. And then like comes in with these like all these bets. It's Brandon. That's why Brandon's the best. Walk me through the SGA bets.
Yeah, so let's talk rebounding specifically to Ryan's question because this sets up for what I was my favorite bet of this podcast and I think maybe one of my favorite bets of the finals. Although I've had a couple other favorite bets that have not gone well, so this might just not be my finals. Shea rebounding, I think he is in play for series leader. I feel like instinctively that is not a great outcome for the Thunder. Like I think if you like the Thunder in the series instinctively, I don't think you should love or sorry, if you like the Thunder, you should not love Shea rebounding. Here's where we're at on rebounds right now for rebound leader, because I want to talk about that anyways. It's very close. It's very close. Siakam 23, Chet and Hallie both 22. Halliburton 22, surprising. Hartenstein 20, terrible game last night, fell off, but still only three down. Shea and Neesmith at 18. I'm still not really taking Neesmith seriously. Frankly, even though Hallie's only one back, I'm still not taking him totally seriously just based on some of the rebounding chances, some of the underlying stuff there. Could happen, but the underlying stuff doesn't make those guys super big threats to me. Books are right back after Chet had one good rebound in game one. He had a one good game where he finally like manned up and got some rebounds in the paint against all the other big guys. And Books are like, oh, okay, Chet's favored at everything again with rebounding. I still can't get there. He's not leading right now. He's one behind Siakam, is two behind Ihart. I would still look at either of those guys. Siakam plus 225, Ihart plus 800. I thought about coming in with that as a best bet to give out both of those guys together. I already have positions on both guys, and if you bet them together, you're getting a plus 139. I don't mind that. I like that if it's just against Chet. But the fact that Halliburton and Shea and Neesmith are all right in the mix too, and you never know how the ball bounces, and I might just lose all three of those guys. Could lose to Halliburton or Shea. I don't think I need to invest there. To Shea's possible series rebounding leader. So that was a play before the series. I got 22 to 1. It was, I think, something like 50 and 100 to 1 after a couple games. And he had a nice game in game three. I don't know that he's going to get there. I think it would really take a plurality for him to pull through. I would not necessarily be looking to reinvest on it, but I don't think the ticket is dead. Here's how I am looking to invest on Shea rebounds. One book has Shea head-to-head rebounds against Miles Turner for the series, and I frankly think Shea should be favored in that market, and he is plus 280, and I don't understand the line at all. This is a multi-unit bet for me. Shea is 3 rebounds ahead of Miles Turner right now. He's 3 ahead. He's playing 11 more minutes a game. He's getting the rebounds. I project him about 6 a game, maybe just under going forward. And he's getting his rebounding chances. Here's the thing with Miles Turner, Matt. Game 1, 15 rebounding chances. He got 9 of them, but 5 were offensive rebounds, and they've disappeared since then. His rebounding chances have dropped every game, 15, 11, 10. His rebounds have dropped every game, 9, 4, 2. And even if you take out those offensive rebounds, which are kind of random, 4, 4, and 2 on the defensive glass. It's just not a thing he's been getting in the series. Shea is leading him by 3 right now. If you look at just the game-to-game lines, they're both priced at 5.5. Shea is juiced to the over, minus 120. Turner is heavily juiced to the under, minus 150. Books are telling us Turner should be under 5.5 rebounds, Shea over. I don't understand why would Turner be favored in this market head-to-head series. So I love Shea rebounding, plus 280, head-to-head series against Miles Turner. That's my favorite of all these Shea bets. Do you have any thoughts on that one specifically or the rebounding stuff before you keep going?
No, I want you to keep going so I can find this and bet it. That's what I want. Is I want you to keep talking so I can go bet this because that's so ridiculous. Yeah, Turner, because of the coverage that they're playing, because of how they're manipulating things, because of where they're getting the ball out. Now, I will say, for series leader, Hallie's a little bit more dangerous, I think, than you think. One of the things I noticed is
You
that
might be.
I was watching. It's kind of funny. The Pacers, because they know they got to get out and get ahead of them, they are running off of shots pretty aggressively with everyone up top um, on offense. And Halliburton, every time it's like a long jumper that goes long, Halliburton's the one that's sniping in and then just running with it. They really have kind of shifted to that. I do kind of if Dags is going to get his head out of his ass in this series, I think he needs to do it in game 4. And a big part of that is probably going to be like, I think they got to try the double big a little bit more here.
Yeah.
In how they're like, the Pacers have matched a lot of these lineups and now they're killing them. The Neesmith adjustment last night was so smart, where they put Neesmith in with that second unit. McConnell stealing the inbounds pass obviously was the biggest thing, 7 times or whatever. But the Dags is going to have to get out of his comfort zone a little bit here and play counter. He's going to have to not just try and play from advantage and play counter here. And they could take away the rebounds that way and maybe somebody else wins. But I do think Hallie's a little bit of a danger if they keep playing the way that they are. Talk to me about SGA minus 1.5 assists versus Nemhard.
Yeah, Turner had 2 rebounds in 30 minutes last night. I have in my notes Turner 2 rebounds in 30 minutes. OKC go big. WTF all in capital letters. Like, what are you doing? Get Hartenstein back out there. That's why even though he he was invisible really last night. The whole bench for OKC just didn't show. But I think there's a very good chance, Matt, that I don't think the Cason Wallace start has worked out well at all. I don't think anybody thinks it's worked out well for them, but they haven't had a spot to have to go away from it. I wonder if now is the spot. Down 2-1, Dags has to do an adjustment. Maybe it's to Caruso. I would prefer it just be back to your usual Hartenstein lineup, and I'd like to see them go big there. Assess. Okay, before the series, I bet Shea and Nemhard as assist leader. Nemhard was 150 to 1. It's not like we really thought that was like likely to happen. It's not going to happen because Nemhard's assists are going the same way as Turner's rebounding. 12 potentials in game one. He got six of them. That's about normal. Five potentials in game two, even though he had four. So that was even above his usual. Three potentials in game three. One assist. There's no more Andrew Nemhard handling. It's Halliburton and it's TJ and it's not Andrew Nemhard anymore. I wanted to come on today and give you whatever number I could find for Shea assist leader. That was my triple down, Matt. I'm ready to dig in my heels. Shea's down by 8. Halliburton has 23 versus Shea 15. I still think Shea is absolutely live to win that market. The pansy books won't even give me a number. It's not up at any market because Hallie's so far ahead. If you got it at a local book or something at a long, long number, I think Shea is live specifically. The same reason I like Shea to be the assist leader in this game, plus 280, because when the Thunder win, Shea gets assists. And when the Thunder win, Halliburton doesn't get assists. That's what we've seen in the series. It's a clear bellwether. In the one game, the Thunder won 8 assists for Shea. In the games they lost, 3 and 4. So if we think, Matt, that the Thunder are going to win 3 more times, then we should get 3 more 8, 9 assist games from Shea. And we should get 3 more Halliburton at like around 6 again. 9 versus 6 is 3. 3 more times is 9. We're only behind by 8. We can still win that bet. I still like Shea to be live to an assist. I like him in game 4. They're giving us that one. We can bet that one. So plus 280. Specifically, Shea versus Nemhard is just basically even odds to get minus 1.5 assists. So Shea has to have 2 more assists than Nemhard. Again, Nemhard is only at like 5 and 3 potentials the last 2 games. He's just not getting opportunities. If you don't have this market and you prefer, you can just go under 4.5 assists Nemhard. That one's going to be available at every book. You can just do that one. I don't ever just do anything. I always find the niche angle that I want with the best price. So I think Shea, in what we expect to be a Thunder win, should be at 6, 7, 8, 9, somewhere in there assists. Nemhard is just not getting them right now. So that's my best version of a Shea game assist and then assist leader for the game plus 280.
I'm not gonna tell you on this, and that's a good sign for you. But I will give the basketball reason why to not do this, just as a steel man. Uh, the Pacers have increased their pickup point on SGA to 56 feet via Owen Phillips of the F5, which you guys should follow on Substack. He's great.
Great.
But the other thing that they're doing is they got to game 3, and Carlisle's like, okay, now blitz him. And that's what they did. So a big part of this, think about game 2 and think about how many times SGA was able to get, or think about game 1. And I talked about this, about how they funneled him middle to cut off his assist angles. And he was able to get to the rim for layups, but it limited his passing abilities and took the rest of the OKC Thunder out of it. The Thunder countered in game 2 by going to side pick and roll. Okay, fine. You're going to punish us if we go middle. We're going to get Shea into space on the side. And what the Thunder did in game 3, or what the Pacers did in game 3, is we're going to blitz you going side. Or we're going to send a late double. He got downhill on Nemhard on 2 different possessions for that baseline jumper that he loves. Nemhard played him great, but Hallie also sent a blatant, I call it naked, but it sounds like a weird, but a naked double down on him to force that pass out. They are sending more help at him. Shea is not a great assist creator out of blitzing situations, especially if he doesn't have Hartenstein on the floor. This is where the Dags thing gets significant here. If you're playing five out, think about it. All your guys are out on the perimeter to create those passing lanes. If you blitz, where does that ball have to go? You know where it has to go. You get to extend out there. There's no cuts. There's no slices. There's no off ball. Like you have to time it perfectly because you don't know. You have to stay stationary. You can't run off ball screen action to cut inside because if your timing's wrong, all you've done is brought a defender down and now you've taken away the drive. All that said, I'm concerned about the assist angle, but Brandon's probably right, and he'll just like pass to guys in transition, and they'll hit the threes, and it'll be fine anyway.
Well, and just to be clear, there's a reason that I'm not just playing like Shea over 6.5, Shea 8 assists, Shea 10 assists. I'm not doing that because the Nemhard angle is part of it also. Like
Yeah,
the assist leader is a bet on the Thunder winning the game, which is a bet on Halliburton not getting as many assists, which means Shea should be in play. There's a reason I'm not directly just betting the Shea assist because I saw the same stuff you did from Owen Substack and from Game 3. I'm also expecting the Thunder to have some adjustments now for Game 4 to get him bringing up the ball a little bit more, to get him the ball back, even when they blitz and get it out of his hands. And I think it can bounce back a little bit. Shea first half points leader. Shea game points leader is like minus 3, 4, 500 at your books. First half points leader is only minus 125. Game 1, 19 points of the half. Next highest guy was 9. He doubled up on either team. Game 2, 15 points at the half. One other guy in double digits, nobody else above 9. So he's comfortably the leader in both of those games. Game 3 is what I think is worst of the series. Still 12 points at the half, one shot away from being tied for most first half. There was 15, 13, 12, 11. So there's other guys scoring, but even still in a bad game, one shot away. He's averaging 14.5 points a game in the first half for the playoffs, median of 15, 18 or more in over a third of them. 18 and a half is going to get you the win in this category. He's at least 9 all but one, and at least 9 puts you in play in this category. Would have won the award in game 1. So just getting creative again. All around, all the Shea stuff is this is your MVP after having a bad game in the playoffs for reasons that he wasn't at his best and Dags didn't put him at his best. I expect him to give him better opportunity, and I expect Shea to come out aggressively and play like an MVP. And that's why I'm investing in all these different ways for Shea to do that. The last one, Halliburton over 2.5 turnovers, very simple. Over 2.5, 3 for 3 on the series. 3, 4, and 5. If I expect the Thunder to crank up the pressure and play a little bit more defensive intensity, Halliburton's going to have the ball a lot. Just need 3 turnovers, the same as he's had all 3 games so far.
okay. Let's talk. You covered Halliburton,
Yep.
covered all the SGAs.
I,
We're
I
good on
got
best
done
bets.
them all.
Okay. We have a parlay before we get out of here. Our parlay. It's an assist parlay. It's a heavy assist parlay, and no surprise, it's a Thunder parlay. Under 8.5 Halliburton assists. Obviously, he had a great game through the tape. Do a better about being more aggressive. Like when the Thunder talk about we got to be more aggressive and disciplined, and like they did let up a little bit. I talked about all the ways they were going to get him downhill. That worked. They did a lot of that in game 3, but the Thunder will probably adjust. So under 8.5 Halliburton assists, over 6.5 uh, SGA assists, under 4.5 Nemhard assists, and the under 109.5 on the Indiana Pacers team total. Hallie under, Nemhard under, Shea over, and Indy's team total under. That's going to do it for buckets. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate you guys being with us. We'll be back on Friday at 6:30 Eastern for pregame best bets. Make sure to tune in. Give us a like and subscribe if you're watching. Lots of you are watching right now at youtube.com/the Action Network. My thanks to Giver Gould for helping us out when our software was down today. Big shout out to him for coming in clutch. David Payne, our audio producer. My thanks to Brandon Anderson, senior NBA futures analyst. We'll see you guys again next time. Till then, let's get buckets.
Recording stopped.